Hi, everybody. I'm Dan Shepard, and I've been in the real estate investment space for about 10 years now. I have worked with some of the largest lenders in the space internally. I've brokered private loans before. I've invested in real estate. I've invested in private loans myself. And I'm so excited about how big this opportunity is and how much it can impact your life.
What's up, guys? My name is Burke Fisher. I've been in the real estate investment side of things on both sides of the fence. I've been a flipper, been a private money broker for about 6-7 years now, all together. I really think that this is one of those industries that's untouched. There's so much opportunity to be made. There's so much money to be made, and the limits are really, it's limitless. So it's as much work as you want to put in, how much you're going to get out.
I'm Matt Shepard. I have been in really the prop tech space for the last, 12 years now in my career, focusing in more or less enabling real estate investors through technology. I've just become passionate about the private market space and how it's such a lucrative industry and a trend that's only becoming more accessible to the everyday man. So our goal here is to enable you to take advantage of that opportunity. And together we form the private lending headquarters Masterclass School of Greatness. What is private money lending? I'm going to pass it over to Burke. What is private money lending?
So private money lending is basically lending that you're going to be working with like investors. So it's not going to be like home buyers, people that are looking to buy their primary residence, people that are looking to buy something that they're going to use as a vacation. It's going to be something that's going to be investment mostly. So we're talking like fix and flip loans, DSCR loans, cash out refinances for DSCR, which are amortized 30 years. So it's going to be everything but primary residential stuff, primary stuff like that.
And the question that I get a lot is like, hey, Dan, hey, Burke, why wouldn't I just go to a bank for this stuff? That's who I go to for all my banking needs. And it's really because banks don't typically do this. And if they do it, they have a very in-depth, not very fast turn time, and which is not reliable for real estate investors who value moving quickly in these types of deals. And the other thing I would add on this private lending, the private lending space, is that we're talking about asset-based financing. So asset-based means it's backed by a house, something that's tangible. And these loans, these private lending loans, were traditionally made by rich individuals, who had doctors, lawyers who had a bunch of money sitting on the side, and they are lending. But now the space has grown a ton in the last 10 years, and it's a little bit more, we call it institutional now. So there's these non-bank institutions that basically have these funds and deploy them to real estate investors.
Right. Hedge funds, things like that.
What about, I actually applied to get a house myself, and I had to go through, they looked at my income, my personal job income, and I had to go give them my bank account and all that kind of stuff. Is that the same process in private money lending where I have to give them my personal income statements and all that?
No, it's going to be a lot different. So with private money, they're basically, like Dan said, they're just looking at the asset. So it's not like buying a primary residence where they're going to ask for your blood sample and a bunch of years of W-2 income, things like that. They're mostly looking at the property itself. So they just really want to see that you have the money to close. They want to see that the property that you're getting into is going to be a good ROI. They want to make sure that it's a good investment for them to invest their money into you, to invest into this property. So there's very few things they need. It's usually LLC docs, scope of work for a fix and flip type deal. It's very minimal. Sometimes some bank statements. Not every capital provider will require that, but it's nothing compared to a primary residence. I'd say it's probably 100% times easier to do a private money loan compared to a primary mortgage. So
probably a lot less regulation, I'm assuming.
No red tape compared to a regular traditional mortgage.
And that's why I think we're so excited about it from getting other fellow brokers of the space, is that it's a largely unregulated space. Obviously, you're going to have to be a fiduciary to your clients, but most states don't require licenses, especially, and you can do this for single family, 4-unit, into the commercial stuff like mixed use, et cetera. So this is, I don't want to call it the Wild West, but it's a very entrepreneurial space, the private lending area. Absolutely. Awesome. Well, why don't we shift gears over to
who's the target client? Yeah, when it comes to private money lending, obviously you guys have been in the space for a long time and connecting clients to sources of capital, private money lenders, and brokering those loans. So who are those target clients just in general, and what do you do for them?
Yeah, my target client is typically going to be fix and flippers. So I'll try to connect with, I'll go to REI meetups, things like that, let people know what I do. Try to just tell people it's a lot easier to get funding for properties, because a lot of people don't realize how easy it is to get funding for it. So it makes our job as a private money broker to be able to close these loans quickly and yada, yada. But target clients are always going to be real estate investors for me. My niche over the last 5 years has been fix and flippers. I've fixed and flipped houses for a while. And so it just came natural to me and I loved working with it. So I just domino affected off of that, and word of mouth goes pretty quickly, especially if you're doing a good job. So it's been great. What about you, Dan?
A lot of fix and flippers. And I feel like in this space, I always say there's short-term guys and there's long-term guys. It's like the short-term guys, they identify property, like I can make some money just flipping that thing. And the long-term guys will be like, I can make some money, collect a decent rent, and be a landlord, right? So I'd say fix and flippers, those longer term buy and hold guys. And then there's obviously the mixture of the both. A lot of the clients that we work with do both, and we call it BRRRR, which is popular in the industry, which is they buy a property, they fix it up with a hard money loan, a fix and flip loan, and then they'll refinance it into a 30-year, a long-term product. So it's anyone from someone just starting out to people who own hundreds and hundreds of properties. So there's a lot of different anything. There's a big scale on these investors.
Totally. And the good thing too with our clients is that you get two loans essentially spread out, but you're doing, especially if you work with them on the front end of the fix and flip, they renovate it and then they want to do a cash out refinance to keep the property, i.e. a BRRRR, then you do both the loans. So it works out for us.
And I've even seen people who do 4 or 5 different loans on the same property, which is crazy. They'll get a better rate or the property appreciates. So these clients are looking for someone who can be a resource to them to say, hey, this is, you guys are trying to strategize and pull out equity here or refinance there. So it's a great little business.
When I think of real estate investors, I'm thinking like the big Black Rocks, the Blackstone, the juggernauts of the world. And man, if I'm brand new to this space, I'm kind of intimidated by that. Is that what you guys are talking about? Those bigger firms that are real estate investors, or is it more so the average Joe on the street?
I'd say that the people that I worked with Dan several years ago when he worked directly with a direct lender. He was my broker relations manager, and Dan seemed like a regular dude just like me. So it was never like one of those things where it felt awkward or he was better than I was. And so at the end of the day, you're talking to a front face man. You're not talking to these hedge fund guys. You're not talking to BlackRock. You're not talking to Vanguard. So it's all about the relationship you make with your broker relations manager too. I can't stress that enough. It's so important. But yeah, it's people get scared about that type of stuff. But at the end of the day, those people, they put their pants on the same way as you. And Dan's a perfect example of that too. So
totally having these good lender relationships. And I think you have the same goal as bringing in a deal, making sure it's a good deal and closing it. You as the client, you the real estate investor, as the broker, and as the bank, right? Or these institutions, they're all aligned, which is great because they all want to make money, right? And as far as investors, they are anyone from mom and pop to, we were talking about the larger guys for sure. So there's the whole scale. And I think as you get to the more commercial deals, which honestly we try to stay away from, but it's a commercial underwrite. Then you're getting these big wig bankers and commercial appraisals. But this 1 to 4 space, which we focus in, is pretty streamlined.
super fast turnaround too. Can't talk about that enough. I've closed deals within 72 hours, start to finish, talking to somebody on the phone to the deal closing on escrow. So these deals can go super fast. So
that's awesome. Yeah. So it sounds like real estate investors could be their first flip ever. That's who you're working with to connect the dots. It could be someone who's done 10 flips before. So big range, quick close, and you're just connecting the dots between the investor and the actual source of capital